Thank you for your interest in NewYorkHousingSearch.gov, a free service to list and find affordable, accessible homes and apartments across New York State. This service is brought to you by Homes and Community Renewal and is utilized every day across the state by consumers, housing agencies, health and human service organizations, landlords, and property providers. Currently, the system has almost 140,000 affordable housing units listed in it and has seen just in the past year over 840,000 searches. The purpose of today's webinar is to show you some of the features and functionality that this system offers. Before I dive into talking about the website itself, which you should see here on your screen, I want to talk a little bit about the call center that supports this service. We do spend a lot of time making sure that the pages and the functionality offered within the system are very easy to use, but we still have the call center available and staffed by real people every day from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Friday. The call center has a number of things that they do each day, but their primary role, their primary focus each day is to help connect people to the housing information that's listed within the system. So they take calls from prospective tenants, they will conduct housing searches for these individuals, and spend as much time as is needed with each person that calls in to help them find a tailored list of housing that meets their very specific set of needs. They also take calls from property providers and help landlords and property managers list their housing in the system. Again, the listing tools are very easy to use, but there are a number of landlords and property managers that want to talk to a real person, and so they can call the toll-free number in the call center and have somebody assist them with registering and listing their properties. And the last thing that the call center does every day is manages and updates the listings in the system. One of our primary goals in providing the service to New York State was to create sort of a one-stop shop of affordable housing that was current and up to date. So what we do to meet that goal is for any property manager or landlord of any type or size that has an account in the system, if they have an available unit listed, then the system requires that they are logging in and reviewing their information on a regular basis. If it's a private landlord with a single family property, then they're required to log in and review their information, if it's available, every 2 weeks. If it's a property manager of a large apartment complex, then they can update their information every 30 days. So what you find in NewYorkHousingSearch.gov are listings that have been updated or reviewed within the system either in the last 2 weeks if it's a single family property or the last 30 days if it's a multifamily property. And here's how we enforce that or support that updating to happen on such a regular basis. The first thing that happens is if a property hits the time frame in which it needs to be updated, the property manager or landlord of that property receives an email from our call center, and the email contains a link that they click on that takes them right into their account so that they can review their information. If they don't respond to our email requesting that they update their information, then they get pushed into a call queue. And our call center runs through that call queue every day, Monday through Friday, and notifies property providers through phone that they need to update their information. If they can't reach them on the first call, they call a second time. And if they can't reach them on the second call, a message is left with that property manager letting them know that we've had to remove their information from the public search and urge them to go in and update it. Now, we never delete information because we recognize that it does take time from a property provider to go in and list that information, particularly because another goal of New York Housing Search is to provide comprehensive information about each unit. So we do, when a landlord goes in to list their property the first time, they're not only telling us the rent and the structure type, but they're also telling us about accessibility features, neighborhood amenities, special accommodations that the property offers. So if they're not able to update their property within the required time frame, we do not delete that information. What we do is adjust a setting in the back end of the system so that consumers or prospective tenants that are searching the website don't find a property that hasn't been updated. So if the property manager or landlord does indeed log in to review the information or calls us back, then their listings are just simply activated. They don't have to go back in and update that information. So that's how we keep the information current in the system. And we also had some quality control mechanisms in place that I'll show you once we start clicking into the website, so that you can see what else we have in place to ensure that the listings that are provided through NewYorkHousingSearch.gov have a high level of quality and integrity. Our call center offers, has an internal mission of providing a second chance to individuals that have faced barriers in employment. So many of the folks that work in the call center have experienced homelessness or have had difficult situations in the past, where we're able to take them on and provide them with some paths of professional development, so they can follow a management track, they can learn marketing, they can learn outreach and communication. And a lot of our folks in the call center have experienced homelessness at one point in their life. So when they come to work for us, they come with a heightened sense of excitement about learning skills, about contributing, about being able to contribute to a bigger goal of a company, and the roles that we give them are very empowering. So that's just another really neat thing about NewYorkHousingSearch.gov, is that the call center does have an internal mission to help people that have faced housing barriers and have faced challenges in their lives. So the call center is always there, and you can find the toll-free number for the call center in the footer of every page on NewYorkHousingSearch.gov, as well as on the Contact Us tab that you see here in the menu bar of the homepage. And the call center is also supported by the language line, which supports, I think, thousands of languages. They provide interpretation services, as well as there's a relay service hooked into the call center as well. The website itself is fully accessible, 508 AAA compliant, which means that individuals that have visual or hearing impairments or physical disabilities can use a number of different devices to access the information in the system and to navigate through the pages. So screen readers, helmet pointers, all of those devices can easily utilize NewYorkHousingSearch.gov to search for housing. I'm going to go ahead and start clicking through some of the links here. The homepage we've tried to keep very clean and simple to navigate. There are 3 primary sections on the homepage. One is to find housing. One is to add properties for property providers. And the other is just general resources and tools. The resources that we offer, if you click on resources and tools, it will pull up a list of thoroughly vetted organizations, linked to organizations that help different populations. We have seniors, we have disability resources, we have assistance with finding and keeping an apartment in New York City, which you know can be incredibly challenging. We have landlord and eviction assistance, help with energy bills, housing counseling. So a number of different resources and supports that would be very beneficial for individuals that are in the process of moving or looking to relocate or find an affordable housing unit that meets, that falls within their means and meets their needs. Down at the bottom of the resources page, we have a number of tenant tools. We have a rental checklist that folks can print out and take with them as they're going to look at different rental units, so that they can record the various aspects of that property and remember the different things that they've seen should they be looking at a number of units in one day. We also have a rental calculator, which we know is very frequently used because we track the clicks on this page in our analytics. And this function will guide a user to select the city that they're looking to live in because it pings off of the local median family income rates, so for that, as measured for that county on the day that the individual is using this calculator. So they put in the number of people in their family, and then what their income is, and that can be hourly, weekly, monthly, annually, whatever is most fitting to that individual or family's current situation. And then they can input how many bedrooms they're looking for, and when they click go, it will generate a calculation for them. It will tell them what their gross family income is, and then it will tell them what 30% of their gross monthly income is, which is a good target. People should not exceed that 30% so that they can find a property that will be affordable and sustainable for them long term. And then it will tell them where they fall in terms of the median family income for that particular area. Moving on, after those calculations are generated, they can click on what's available, and it will pull up a list of properties that falls within what that family can afford, that is either currently available or on an active waiting list. So that's a really, really neat tool that we see used very, very frequently. The other helpful tools that you'll see on the resources page, I click back, are frequently asked questions for tenants. We have an example of moving costs, so folks can sort of try to budget for their move. We have a moving cost calculator that will allow an individual to input different expenses that they'll have to incur to move, such as utility deposits, the rental of a moving truck, things like that, to help them plan more effectively for their move. And then we have FAQs for tenants and landlords and instructions for each of those groups on how to utilize the site. So that is the resources section on NewYorkHousingSearch.gov. We also have a quick link over to weatherization and housing organizations. So this primarily provides access to weatherization assistance providers and preservation companies, and they can be searched either by address. So if somebody wants to put in their home address, they can search by address and find either the weatherization or preservation organizations or both by within a close radius of their home. Or they can also do a map search to find the organizations and pinpoint organizations within a close distance of their home by way of utilizing a map. Now I would like to talk a little bit about property providers registering to list affordable housing units on NewYorkHousingSearch.gov. Again, I can't overemphasize the importance of the call center because anyone can register to list properties through the website, and if they are more comfortable talking to somebody, then all they have to do is dial the toll-free number. So when you go into list a place to rent, you're asked to select the city that you would like to list your property in, and then it brings up an informational page about that city. So it will provide fair housing information, it will provide information about the Housing Choice Voucher Program, again, instructions on how to list properties. It gives the fair market rental rates for the county and the city that the city is in that you clicked on. And that FMR is listed in the top row per bedroom here, just as a frame of reference. And to maintain and ensure the affordability of the listings offered through NewYorkHousingSearch.gov, we do enforce a cutoff. So any property that exceeds 130% of the FMR for that bedroom size in that city, a big red message will come up when the landlord is attempting to list that property that will let them know that they have exceeded the rental cap and to either reduce the rent to fall within our requirements, or that they won't be able to list on the site. Now, the only time that a cap like that is listed is if we are facing an intense relocation effort, generally associated with a catastrophic event such as Superstorm Sandy or another natural disaster, where this this information is lifted and landlords are negotiated with on a one-by-one basis as is needed to get people moved into more permanent housing situations. But on a general day, 130% of the FMR is a cutoff for a property to be listed on NewYorkHousingSearch.gov. When a landlord goes in to register to list, they are asked a number of questions. And the questions generally just describe their company. So we ask, their contact information, their management company name. If they happen to have a website, we have a lot of management companies and landlords that invest their own resources into building their own websites. Our goal is to really promote those websites and to cross-channel market as much as possible. So if a landlord enters their company website here, anytime a prospective tenant clicks on a property that landlord owns or manages, then the individual can click right into their website from that property. We ask for contact information. We ask about the requirements of that landlord or management company. Do they accept Spanish language phone calls? Do they require criminal checks or credit checks? What their application fee is. We also ask if there are any additional types of documentation or special certifications or anything that the tenant needs to bring with them to apply for the property. Our goal here is anytime a property is viewed through the system by a prospective tenant, they not only see the offerings of the property, the features and amenities of that property, but they can also see within that listing on NewYorkHousingSearch.gov what that landlord requires for them to apply to rent the unit. And that just educates the tenant. It lets them know, if what they might need to do, if they need to call the landlord ahead of time to submit a reasonable accommodation request, or it just educates them, and it also gives the landlord a more qualified, informed caller. So it's a time savings. Scrolling down below, you'll see a section here labeled Special Needs Populations, and this is for housing organizations across the state of New York. And essentially what it does is anytime a landlord registers to list a property on this site, they are asked if they would like to be connected with local agencies that are working to house these populations that tend to face housing barriers. So we have everything on here from victims of domestic violence to deaf and hard of hearing, mental health consumers, refugees. And so what happens is we will work with the housing organizations and the caseworkers that work for those housing organizations and give them a username and password so that they can log in through a password protected portal and see the properties where landlords have promoted their units to work with these programs. This is a very carefully utilized system. It is well within fair housing laws. This is simply just a relationship building tool where landlords can connect with agencies and learn about programs that they may not have been familiar with. It's incredibly successful. It's been a great tool to increase scattered site community-based housing in the communities in which it is currently active, and we're very happy to have it here for New York State as well. Once a landlord registers, they log into their account, they list properties. It's easy to list properties. We have a number of tools to facilitate that process, so they're not having to enter dozens of units. They only have to enter one unit type within a building, and then they can duplicate that listing and customize it to meet the different unit types. So there's a lot of special features built into the landlord side of the system that I guess makes the listing process easier and quicker. Once they have their properties listed, they're listed. It's a one-time investment of time and effort, and then once they're listed, all they have to do is make quick adjustments to the availability of that unit. The landlords that have open waiting lists can promote those waiting lists and publish them to the public, not the waiting lists themselves, that they can indicate if they have a waiting list, so an individual that is inquiring about that property knows that it has a waiting list. I am going to go in and show you how to search the system. Going back to the home page, you'll see right off the bat And actually, one thing that I haven't mentioned yet that I want to is that you'll see the Google Translate widget in the top right-hand corner of the site where the site can be translated into a number, I think it's over 60 different languages on a page-by-page basis. We also have the site fully translated into Spanish, so at any time, Espanol can be selected at the top and all of the functionality and tools can be utilized on a fully Spanish translated path. So we do support most languages that would be spoken in New York State. Going back to the search, right on the home page, you'll see that we have a text box that individuals can use to go directly into a city, a county, or a zip code for searching. So they can put a zip code in here, you can put a city name, and click search, and it will go into the list of properties that are in that city. So it sort of bypasses the search form, which is the next thing that I'm going to show you, that allows somebody to input a lot of different filters. But this is a really wonderful and quick way to get right into the list of properties that is available in a particular location. Another way to search is to click Find a Place to Rent, and it will go into our city selector, and you'll see down below that we have all of the counties listed alphabetically and any city within that county that has an active, available, or waiting list property. So if you don't see a city here, it just simply means that we don't have any available properties in that city at this time. So you can search by clicking on one of the cities within the county. You can search an entire county by clicking Search All in Albany, or the county name. You can use the alphabet locator to find a city quickly by clicking the letter that that city starts with. And if you're interested in searching one of the boroughs, then you can click on the borough map at the top. And what it will do is pull up a borough map. And my computer's running a little slow here, so we'll just give it a second to pull up. And once the borough map pulls up, you can click on the borough, and it will break it down into the neighborhood districts. And I'm going to have to come back to that in just a minute because it's moving slowly for some reason. Let me go ahead into just doing a search really quick. If I click on a city, it's going to bring up the search form. And you'll see here on the left-hand side of the screen that we have a basic, advanced, and accessible search functionality. The resources down the right-hand side of the screen are just duplicates of what I showed you earlier. So the helpful tools, again, the moving costs, the rental calculator, the rental checklist, direct links over to the assisted living facilities. There are short-term lease availabilities that are direct links if people want to see those. Looking over at the search tool, you'll see that it defaults to the basic search, and these are just the fields that we found people search most frequently. So number of bedrooms, rent range, zip codes, distance to public transportation. If you click on the advanced tab, then you're going to find a number of filters that are a little bit more descriptive and help you to refine your search more carefully. So you can search for properties that are within a certain distance of shopping or hospitals. You can search for properties that fall within a specific or close distance of a particular location. We have a lot of people that want to live near their job office or near a family member's house. They can put that address in there and choose a distance that they would like to search from that location, and it will pull up properties within that proximity. You can search by keyword. So frequently I'll have people call in and say they know a street name or an apartment complex, and they can put that keyword in there and it will crawl all of the listings and find the ones that have that word in them. And then scrolling down, a lot of these are pretty straightforward and should seem familiar. If the property is pet friendly, if it has certain types of appliances, if it has a basement, if there's covered parking. Short-term lease is going to be one of those things that's most used useful if there's been a natural disaster or a fire or something like that, where frequently New York Housing Search will get involved because our call center, because we've got the updated listings and our call center provides disaster intervention services to help identify vacant units in an affected area, in and around an affected area, as well as quickly move people into permanent housing. So you'll see that that short-term lease feature is really useful during disaster response efforts, whether it's a small event or large. You can filter out properties that require background checks, or you can always exclude properties that are on a waiting list. And we get that a lot because we do post waiting list properties, and some people need to move quickly, so they don't need to see that. If I click on the Accessible tab, you'll see that the right-hand side of the screen is replaced by a number of accessibility features, everything from kitchen accessibility to bathroom accessibility, accessible flooring, accessible laundry, and there are even more accessible fields that a landlord can use to describe their listing. So these are going to be just the ones that are the most important or the most frequently searched, I should say. Once a search is conducted in a particular area, it will bring up a list of properties that meets the criteria of that search. They are this is kind of the basic information on the listings. This is what our call center mails out every day, so they'll print this out and drop it in the mail to folks. We have a printer-friendly version of this that you can just click printer-friendly, and a lot of organizations across the state will print these out and distribute them. And again, we mail them out to tenants all day, every day. You can view the properties on a map to see how they're displayed on the map, get a nice visual. You can click on the individual balloons that represent the properties to get a quick snapshot of the property. You can also use the map to search. So you can click on a spot on the map and conduct a search from that point. The map is really, really neat. You can see that there are a bunch of special features highlighted by icons, and those icons will be listed in the date available column. So if there are pictures, if it's accessible, if it's a non-smoking property, if a washer and dryer is included, if it's pet friendly, those sorts of special features will be highlighted in the date available column. If you want to see the full detail of a property, you simply click on the address and it will bring up that full detail. So you'll see here at the top of the page, we've got the landlord's website that I referenced earlier. I can click right into that website. I can email them directly from this listing, and I can really get a really in-depth picture of what this property offers. Everything from basic information to very, very detailed amenities, utilities, special features, flooring information, all of that accessibility detail, that's all provided here in this full detail listing. It also has the school districts. It has sometimes special messages provided by the landlords that they input. So really a great way to learn about the property itself. And you can take a virtual tour of the property by clicking through the different photos, and landlords can post up to 10 photos for each of their properties. So it's a really good, nice way to get a visual of the listing. Another thing I want to point out is this report a listing link at the top of the page. If you click on that, it will generate a message right into our quality control department. And this is really for if anybody sees something that's a potential issue within a listing. For example, if they call and the listing is listed as available through New York Housing Search, and they call and it's not available any longer, then what we do is pull the listing from the system, and then we go in and we'll inquire about that property. So we'll call the landlord and figure out why the property is still listed as available. If it happens to be a more serious issue, or maybe it's listed as accessible and it doesn't look accessible from the photos, whatever the issue is, the first thing we do is pull the unit and then we investigate it. And these inquiries are taken on a rolling basis, so they don't sit. We have a very active quality control department that is always reviewing this information. So I encourage you, if you're searching around on the site and you find a property that has some sort of potential misinformation, please do click that report a link and let us know what you're seeing. We take it very, very seriously and want our information to be as strong and accurate as possible. Last thing I'm going to show you is the shopping cart feature. You can, while searching, find a number of properties that are of particular interest and add them to a shopping cart. The shopping cart is really neat because it has a comparison feature when you go in, and you can pull up to 4 properties. So if somebody's doing an intensive search and they kind of weed through and find their favorite 4 properties, they can do a side-by-side feature-per-feature comparison of that property. They can print this out and take it with them when they go to look at the property. So that's really, really cool. And then before I wrap up, just going back to the search function, the borough map, because it looks like my internet is running more smoothly now. The borough map, you click on the borough map icon, and it will pull up the different boroughs. And then if you want to search in a particular borough, you just click on that borough, and it's going to break it down into the community districts. And then you can click on a community district to go into the search form and search for properties in that particular region of that borough. So that is also a really cool feature that I definitely wanted to show on today's webinar. Thank you so much for your time today. If you have any questions, you can reach me at 704-625-1724 or by email at Nina, N-I-N-A, at socialserve, socialserve.com. And we're really excited to have you using the system. Please search around, and if you want to call the call center, the number for the call center is 877-428-8844. Thanks again for your time today.